When playing the Switch in handheld mode, has this ever happened to you?
Oh no! The Joy-Cons aren't ergonomically comfortable enough to use for hours on end, and my hands started cramping, which caused me to drop my Switch!
Or the dreaded,
oh golly! My Joy-Con started drifting!
or even,
I hate docking the Switch. I hate it!
well, neither have I, but what if I told you that millions, possibly billions of Switch users may or may not have had those issues, and it sounds like they and you who have not had those issues need to check out the Nitro Deck by Cracked. Welcome to It Came From a Box. This is Sergio IM, and for those new to
Hey, that came out months ago! You're late, and my parents don't like me!
Yes, I know, but for those new to it, the Nitro Deck is a handheld controller that the Switch slides into, like the Power Rangers when they pop into their Zords, and it gives you better ergonomics and controls along with some extra features. It works for both the original and OLED versions of the Switch, and they've got a few collections available. Yes, including retro transparent models, because nostalgia has a very tight grip on us millennials. And you can get them by themselves or bundled with the case, as well as with stick tops. Last year, I pre-ordered their limited run edition in this snazzy transparent purple, and I also got my hands on their Pope Art Kraken Special Edition. If you're watching this, they're no longer available, but make sure to subscribe and follow us because I'll always post when limited editions like these or other crazy deals pop up on the interwebs. All right, so let me show you around and then we'll talk features. Regardless of which you go with, they all share the same bubbly design similar to a Sega Game Gear. It's very round, all around, with the only sharp edges being those that are wrapped around the console. Also, I'd recommend getting a carrying case if you don't already have one, so you can protect the controller when you take it on the go. So the Switch slides right in with a perfect fit, no wiggle, and it locks in place. To remove it, you slide up and hold that lever back here, which unhooks the sides, and then, with some pressure on the screen, you should be able to awkwardly slide out the console. Now, I did see a few posts of users getting their console scratched in there, but at least on my end, I didn't. That doesn't mean you'll experience the same thing. So just be careful, but it would have been better if they used cloth instead of plastic to help avoid that. In here, we still have access to all our buttons, ports, and vents. They cut out a lip at the top here so you can easily open the game card slot. There's also cutouts for the front-facing speakers and for the vents on the back, a lot of them. As for controls, the D-pad has this dip towards the center, which I found helps your thumb move around, and so far it's been pretty accurate. The analog sticks are a good size with just the right amount of tension. They're easy to click in. You won't have to worry about drift because they're Hall effect joysticks. They pop right off so you can easily replace them, but there's two issues. First, they have a noticeable dead zone, which really stands out in games that require precise aiming. Now they do have a dead zone mode, but it doesn't seem to do much. And second, the right stick is in a cramped position, which makes it so you'll have to float your hand to use it comfortably. It's a bummer. I'm not sure if it's a deal breaker, but regardless, they're still a decent pair of sticks. Moving on. The face buttons are a bit close together. They're plasticky and very round, but they're springy and reset quickly. Same goes for all these other tiny buttons scattered around. But I do want to point out this home button, which is clear with the Cracked logo, and this has all those LEDs that serve as a notification when you're using the modes of this controller. As for the brightness, don't worry, it's now adjustable. Up top, we have thin shoulder buttons with very clicky switches that actuate all throughout the button. Then we have curved out triggers with, I'd say, a medium travel distance, but no tactile feedback outside of bottoming out. Now, considering the Switch doesn't support analog triggers, I do wish these were more like the shoulder buttons and with less travel. Now, the good news is that you can adjust the digital travel distance of the triggers, but even then, they don't physically feel any different. On the back, we have 4 buttons that you can program. They're thin and curved around the grips, they're very clicky, but they're a bit awkward towards the center, which is harder to actuate. On the bottom left, we have the program button, then we have that release lever, a reset button. The NFC tag is behind this logo, more on that soon. In the middle, we have their friction display stand, which is strong enough to maintain just about any angle you set. It's a nice way to display it or use it in tabletop mode with some wireless controllers. Then we have 2 USB-C ports up here. One for input so you can charge it, and the other for output. No, sadly, it's not for TV out like the official dock. It's so you can connect it to your PC for firmware updates, and it can also be used awkwardly as a wired controller when connected via a USB cable to the Switch dock. Now in hand, the layout is pretty good. Each input is easily accessible aside from the cramped right stick. The grips are about the same size as Hori Split Pad Pros, but not as curvy, and the texture on them is a bit too smooth for my liking. It's also clearly heavier than the Joy-Cons, so for those long play sessions, you're going to want to use it against your lap or lean it against something. Back to those back buttons. With a button combination, you can program them with a single input or record a macro. For the latter, it records everything, including analog stick movement, as an instant input, so it can't record things like delays or the length of time an input was actuated. And yes, it does have memory, so when you turn the console off and back on, it should remember those settings. Next, it also has a basic turbo function that you can assign to any button on the fly, but it doesn't have an auto mode, which is a bummer. Yes, we still have motion controls. I believe the gyro is inside the console, so you're all set. As for rumble, the Nitro deck has two motors that give us a run-of-the-mill vibration, so no, it's not as detailed as the Switch's HD rumble. But I do like that they give us the option to individually adjust each motor with 6 different settings. Finally, Cracked is marketing these as collectibles via their True Collection system. Each of their devices has a unique NFC tag which you can scan into their app, which, by the way, looks great and works very well. Once you do, it adds the device to your library and gives you digital proof of ownership. It then reveals info on that device, such as its set number and rarity rank, and you also have the option to lock it so no one else can scan it into their library. Now, I know what you're thinking, but no, they're not NFTs, and they actually specifically state that, which tells me this has been on their mind, but I can't help but feel like that was the original plan, and it just didn't pan out due to the backlash that NFTs have been getting. Who knows, but as for now, it's just a cool little addition. So that's the Nitro deck. I've been using it as my main handheld controller for a few months now, and although it's not perfect, I still really like it. Now, since launch, you've probably seen me post that the price has been discounted multiple times during the holiday season and early into the year. In fact, I just checked and sure enough, it's on sale yet again. That comes off a little suspicious to me, and at first I thought this was because the Nintendo Switch successor was releasing this year, but then they announced the Nitro Deck Plus. So I'm guessing those discounts was to clear inventory, which sort of makes this original model hard to recommend. The Plus has all the same features as this one, but seems to address some of the concerns users have had. That being the right analog stick placement, which has swapped places with the face buttons for a symmetrical layout. The USB out can now dock the Switch with the included adapter. They've thrown in these buttons to the sides of the analog sticks. And it now has Bluetooth, which makes the app useful for things like firmware updates and adjusting controller-specific settings as well. I'll share my thoughts on that one when I get my hands on it later this year, so make sure to subscribe and ding the bell to stay notified for that. So now I'll hand it off to you. Let me know what you think of it down in the comments, and let's talk. Also, if you're looking to get your hands on one and want to support us at the same time, please check out the affiliate links down in the description below. Once again, this is Sergio AM. Thanks for liking and subscribing, and I'll see you for the next box.
Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and want to help us out, you can do so by clicking that thumbs up button, and while you're at it, why not subscribe for more content? It's free. We also love to hear you out, so please leave a comment down below or talk with us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm Sergio AM, and I'll see you for the next box.